Welcome back to Monheim Microphone Studio here in Hollywood, California. We're back for another Monheim Monday. And today we're talking about acoustic treatment. We're going to be addressing some common misconceptions and some mistakes and some improvements that you can make in your home studio, recording studio, or control room. Whether it's a recording studio, a home studio, or if you're setting up a listening space, the most important thing you'll address first is acoustics in the space. They improve the way you hear, they improve the way you record. Acoustics are the first step in creating a better environment for monitoring and recording. More and more, I'm seeing blanket treatments done to a lot of acoustic spaces, and it's very important to understand that there's not one-size-fits-all solution to a recording or monitoring space. I wanted to start out the conversation with foam because I see it used a lot, and it often causes a lot of new problems for recordings. Acoustical foam is a solution for some problems. It is not a solution for low-frequency problems or issues where you have excessive mid-frequency buildup. While it's cheap and more affordable, foam can be an easy solution to stop a lot of the high-frequency reflections in a room, but often can conceal a lot of issues in the mid-range. You can put up foam in a room and assume it's ready to record or mix in, and then find out later that you have issues in your mid-frequency range, that once a compressor is applied or it's brought up in the mix, that room sounds really mid-forward or heavy. When I walk into a new space, the first things I like to look at are the ceiling height and the distance between the walls. These two things can inform so much about how I'm going to hear things and what to look for on ways to improve the space. With regards to ceilings, ceiling heights that are very tall can often require a combination of absorption and diffusion. Ceiling heights that are shorter typically require a lot more absorption because they have a lot of acoustical energy and a lot of things bouncing between the floor and ceiling. The opposite of using a lot of foam and not resolving your mid and low frequency issues is using a lot of thick panels that absorb everything in the room and don't leave any surface reflection. Deadening the room or absorbing all the acoustic energy in the room can be a really effective way of controlling the reflections in the room. But there is such a thing as over-deadening a room. Having no surface reflection or having no space for sound to properly travel can be as detrimental to your mixing, monitoring, and tracking as having too many reflections. One important concept to understand when you're applying absorption into a room is that different thicknesses of absorption can have different frequency range effects. Using a thicker panel with the proper density of insulation can be a really effective way of controlling lower frequencies down into 180, 200 hertz range. A good rule of thumb to think about is this. 1 inch of properly rated acoustical absorption material can treat your high frequency range. 2 inches will treat down into the high mid frequency range. 3 inches will reach down into the mids and low mids, and 4 inches or more will reach down into the lower frequencies. Applying this basic rule of thumb can go a long way into critical treatment. If you do a scan of your room and you find that you have excessive buildup in the low mids, then you're going to want to reach down with thicker absorption panels. Just like different thicknesses of an acoustic panel can solve problems, different densities of the material itself can also solve or create new problems. The basic concepts of acoustics can inform your decision on new gear. Say, for instance, you get a brand new vocal microphone and there's a ton of air on the top end and you have a very reflective room. You're going to start to record reflections from the room in addition to the actual vocal being processed. And while basic reflection filters can solve the problems of returning frequencies behind the microphone, you might still have bigger issues of low end bouncing around the room or mid frequencies pushing through the mix. In addition to a new microphone, you might have a new set of speakers that might sound incredible in the showroom or in another studio, and you bring them into your own space and they don't sound anything like you heard. This has a lot to do with acoustic treatment in your own space and how that speaker is behaving in your own room. Take these basic principles now and start to listen to your own space and critically evaluate what you're hearing in your own space. You can email us directly with any questions you have at monheimmics@gmail.com. Thanks for joining us. As always, please be sure to share, like, and subscribe. Our social media links are down below, and you can email us directly at monheimmics@gmail.com. Join us next week for another Monheim Monday. We'll see you then.
And always follow your heart. Just be yourself. Nobody